Because
Hey!
your culture.
Day 38. Stu and Dave.
Stu and Dave.
Yeah. So, Hebrews 10, 23 to 25. Go ahead and read it, Dave.
Ooh, that was slick. Let us hold fast the confession of our hope without wavering. For he who promised is faithful. Boom.
Yeah.
That's not it. I have the boom. And let us consider how to stir up one another to love and good works, not neglecting to meet together as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another all the more as you see the day drawing near.
Boom.
Boom. More booms added.
More booms added.
I have lots of thoughts about this one.
Do you? Go ahead.
Too.
Care to share?
Oh, yeah. Well, first off, the thing I think about is he who promised is faithful.
Yes.
Part of the faith idea is understanding that who God was, who God is who he will be. And God doesn't change. And if you look back on your life and see that God's always been there, he's always brought you through, he's always taken care of you, he's always made sure you've had the things you need, he's healed you, he's comforted you, that's who he's always been in your life. And if you look back, you can see him doing stuff in your life. That's who he's going to be. And that's an interesting thought.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like God doesn't change that. He's not going to be, all of a sudden he's not going to be there. He says, I will never leave or never leave or forsake you. And that's kind of one of the first thoughts I have.
Mm. That's good. So how do we consider to, it says, and let us consider how to stir up one another to love and good works. How do we stir one another up to love and good works? Getting together, talking together. Part of it is holding fast to the confession of our hope without wavering. Mm-hmm. That's how we stir one another up to love and good works. And, sorry, the confession of our hope is Jesus. It's talking about God. It's talking about his word. It's, doing what we're doing right here in the 40 day. This video, stirring one another up, spurring one another. It says, as iron sharpens iron.
Yeah. That's
coming
exactly
together.
what I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah, coming together and discussing the word, because, you know what? The word's not open to private interpretation, but God's going to speak to you something out of Scripture. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's why we have 4 Gospels. Luke, different story.
4 different audiences.
Exactly.
Yeah.
These are men that come from different walks of life that have given their point of view and what stood out for them personally, and then wrote. Mm-hmm. Okay, Luke's the only one that actually went and did a commentary type thing, or what's that word called? Like he documented, he actually interviewed and all that kind of stuff. But Matthew, Mark, and John gave what stood out for them, what was important to them. They were there. They were all there. There's lots of people that want to argue and all that kind of stuff. Well, how come this scripture says this, or this book says this, and not there, and all that kind of stuff. You got to remember that these men were experiencing Christ, okay, and then they brought what stood out for them, And so when we come together, we read one scripture. I mean, you've noticed throughout the whole. Well, this is day 38, so there's been 38 days of 2 opinions of the same scripture. And that's how we sharpen each other.
Yeah, I think it says to stir one another up to love. And the one thing that comes to my mind is, if memory serves me, the word for stir there in the Greek, it has a connotation and a meaning to agitate. Mm-hmm. And it's like iron sharpening iron. There's that rubbing against and there's the chipping off and it's pushing one another towards something. There's that aspect of keeping each other accountable, and sometimes it can be abrasive. It can it just doesn't feel great sometimes to be corrected or to be pushed towards something. But we need that, because otherwise we walk away, we fall away. We need to be pushing one another towards what? Towards love, towards Christ, to be moving each other in the same direction. And it reminds me of a verse in Proverbs: without a vision, people perish, right? So we need to have that thing to move towards. We fix our eyes on Jesus. That's where we move towards, right?
That's right.
And then we don't stop meeting together to
That's right.
constantly encourage and push each other towards that love. Yeah.
And just remember from day 32, all Scripture, breathed out of God for teaching, for reproof, for correction, for training in righteousness. We're helping each other grow.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, that was day
38.
Have a good one.